Good to have you join us on NTA International News at 7. I am Abdul Malik Adio. First, the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari departs Nigeria for 7th Tokyo International Conference on African Development TICAD 7. Access to safe water. The world observes World Water Week with the theme Water for Society, including all. Nigeria and 14 other ECOWAS member countries set targets to eradicate rabies in the sub-region. Now to the news and details. President Muhammadu Buhari left Abuja this Sunday for Japan to participate in the 7th Tokyo International Conference on African Development TICAD from August 28th to 30th, 2019. A statement from the Special Advisor to the President and Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says President Muhammadu Buhari will be participating for the second time, having attended TICAD 6 in Nairobi, Kenya in 2016 with the theme Africa and Yokohama sharing passion for the future. President Muhammadu Buhari will deliver a Nigerian statement during plenary session 3 in which he would appraise Nigeria-Japan relations and takeaways from TICAD 6. The president will also attend other major and side events in Japan and hold a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister. He will also meet chief executive officers of some Japanese companies with huge investment in Nigeria. Formed in 1993, TICAD is the largest international conference held in Japan that provides an open forum for generating innovative discussions among various stakeholders on African development. President Muhammadu Buhari is accompanied by Governor of Zamfara, Babagana Zulum of Kwara, Abdulrazak of Kwara, and Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, ministers and other top government officials. The president is expected back in Nigeria on Saturday, August 31st. Now moving on, the gap in access to safe water, which continues to widen up between urban and rural areas, also continues to be a threat to the attainment of SDG 6 for many countries of the world. How to turn the tide will be the focus as expert and relevant stakeholders converge in Stockholm for the World Water Week with the theme Water for Society, including all. Correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab conceptualizes the theme of the event, a Nigerian scenario.
This nearly impossible road leads to Kuduma, Abuja. It might be a signal to what to get in terms of infrastructure in this FCT satellite community. Also, a common welcoming feature is the presence of Merua around. This water facility is where vendors like Abdullahi get the water auto supply. With 15 naira per keg of water, the residents are also at the mercy of the electricity company to get the essential commodity.
Big problem because if light no day, we cannot see water.
Sometime a month we have like 4 days a month or 5 days a month.
Residents in their neighboring Guzape village are not having it better. 50 naira per keg is what Godwin and others do to get water here. Their water scarcity plight is being complicated by their rocky terrain.
Generally, if you sink borehole here, it takes the grace of God, a special grace of God for you to get water.
Kuduma and Guzape are the surrounding villages of Asokoro Extension in Abuja. But unlike in those villages, safe water is part of the amenities being taken for granted in this highbrow area. Ability to source for oneself has widened the gap of access to safe water between the urban and rural dwellers. Resultantly, about 32% of Nigerian population forms part of the 2.2 billion people around the world who lack safe water. But racing against national and international targets, stakeholders believe the National Wash Action Plan launched late last year by President Muhammadu Buhari, is a milestone amongst those needed to drive the sector.
We have the same government in power. What they really need to do now is to action that state of emergency. The federal government has put in place a number of policies that are in the right direction, but these policies are not trickling down to the state level. So I think that the state governments are the ones that really need to sit up.
Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu, on his return, his first major assignment is to lead Nigeria's delegation to the world stage in search of new ideas and technology, and very importantly too, international support to improve the country's wash sector. Musbal and Wahab, NT News.
Now, Nigeria and 14 other economic communities of West African state ECOWAS set target of eradicating rabies by 2023. This, they say, will be achieved through massive campaign for dogs vaccination and control stray dogs. Musa Babaliu reports.
13-year-old Joy Donatos has always had phobia about dogs. It was as a result of this fear she was bitten by a dog in her neighborhood. She says she was not taken to a hospital, nor did dog be examined if it has rabies or other related diseases.
I was not taken to the hospital. They only used a black stone to put at the place that the dog bites me.
Not all victims of dog's bite are as lucky as Joy without contracting rabies, especially from stray dogs.
It's not right for you to hold dog, you have dog, and you release the dog, you allow the dog to roam here and there, free roaming. We call them free roaming dogs. We don't want that in our community.
The World Health Organization says rabies, a zoonotic disease, kills an estimated 25,000 people, with about one death every 20 minutes in Africa.
But in fact, this figure is for sure underestimated. There are many places in the world, in Africa, in Asia, where the diagnostic of rabies is not done. So the people who die because of rabies in remote villages, in areas where the diagnostic is not performed.
The high cases of rabies in West Africa have become a major concern among veterinary doctors under the ECOWAS.
It will be shameful if we are unable to take the rightful steps to be there by 2030, that we will be fit. We will have created enabling environment for total elimination of rabies. This is the challenge all of us are facing here. How do we get it done?
Nigerian representatives at the meeting are of the view that addressing cases of stray dogs and registration of pets and vaccination is a challenge in Nigeria. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now let's join Joyce Ometu for news that made the headlines during the week around the globe.
Welcome to this segment of the news where we review stories that made headlines across the globe in the outgone week. The United Nations Security Council said it is set to resume negotiations to address the root causes of the armed conflict and to achieve peace in Sudan. This followed the signing of the agreement on the Transitional Authority and the appointment of a Prime Minister. A statement by the Council's President Joanna Roneka of Poland indicated a 15-member body welcomed the signing of an agreement between the Military Council and the opposition forces for freedom and change, the formation of the Sovereign Council and the appointment of Abdullah Hamdok as Prime Minister. The Security Council stressed the need to swiftly resume negotiations towards peaceful solutions to the conflict in Darfur, South Kordofan, and the Blue Nile. And from the U.S. came a report within the week under review that migrant family who crossed the southern border of the U.S. illegally could be detained indefinitely under a new regulation announced by the Trump administration. It replaces an agreement that sets a limit on how long the government could hold migrant children in custody. The move, announced by Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kelvin McAleenan, is due to come into effect in 58 days. Similarly, at least 5 European Union countries, Spain, France, Germany, Luxembourg, and Portugal, offered to take some of the migrants who disembarked on the Italian island of Lampedusa late on Tuesday after being stranded for weeks at sea. About 100 migrants who were on board the charity ship Open Arms were allowed to disembark after a prosecutor ordered the evacuation of the vessel. In other news, Brazil's leader ordered the armed forces to fight record forest fires in the Amazon amid international outrage over rising deforestation. President Jair Bolsonaro deployed soldiers in nature reserves, indigenous lands and border areas beset by fires. The move is an apparent reversal from Mr. Bolsonaro, who has been accused of emboldening miners and loggers. Other countries had threatened to target Brazil's economy if the nation did not act to stop the fires. And in Ankara, capital of Turkey, 3 elected mayors were removed from office and more than 400 people detained as part of a crackdown over alleged links to Kurdish militants. The mayors who were elected in March were accused of spreading terrorist propaganda and financing terrorism. Joyce Ometu, NTA News.
Now, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission is working with relevant bodies to unravel the cause of death of a Nigerian in Ukraine. Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Abike while commiserating with the family of the deceased in Lagos, gave assurance of justice. Abolade Salami reports.
The Nigerian mission in Ukraine intensifies efforts through petition to the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the police to uncover circumstances surrounding the death of a Nigerian medical doctor, Gbolahan Ejemai, in Ukraine. But Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Abike Erewa, has met with the family to console them of the sudden demise of their son, with an assurance that the Commission will get to the roots of his death.
And you want to know that your son got justice in death. And that's why we all have to ensure that we keep it's going to take a while, but I'm going to keep at it. I will not stop.
She reassured the Ejemai's family that regardless of time and persons involved, justice will be pursued. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Now, reward for selfless service. How should it be celebrated? Is it by clinking of glasses or dancing to music? It was a moment of outpouring of gratitude and continuous reoccurring of kind and sweet words for members of the National Association of Presidents NYC Honors Awardees. It is in appreciation of the present administration's fulfilling a promise made 5 years ago. Olayinka Ojo report.
In 2014, during the combined set of 2012, 2013 and 2014 President's NYC Honors Award, a total of 164 outstanding corps members during their service year who were award recipients got automatic employment. In addition to these was award of scholarship to study any course of their choice at master's and doctorate levels. More than 70 of the total number through PTDF are in tertiary institutions overseas, while the remaining 84, after waiting for more than 4 years, will now be traveling for their postgraduate studies.
First, from selflessness, to serve humanity and to give my best to my country.
Maureen Inua, a graduate of Science Laboratory Technology, is one of the beneficiaries.
A lot of us gave up. We felt this promise will not be kept. And seriously, I want to appreciate the administration for making this work out.
The gesture, seen as a dream fulfilled and victory, pioneer president of the association, Simon Oladele, says the opportunities is that which would also assist in the development of the economy.
And I'm expecting them to come and use what they have gained from abroad to develop our country.
And I also want to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is a father, because he made a promise. On the long run, he fulfilled the promise.
The event, a send forth for the award recipients, was also used to inaugurate the new executives of the association. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 7 and NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital. A break beckons. When we come back, There will be more news. Just stay tuned.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says it has recorded 77% increase in cases of oil pipeline vandalism in its network of pipeline infrastructure across the country in June 2019. The corporation's monthly financial and operations report for the month indicates that 106 pipelines points were breached, representing an increase from the 60 points vandalized in May 2019. A statement by NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Ndu Gamadu, explained that in spite of the wanton breaches of its critical pipeline network during the period, the corporation had ensured continuous fuel supply and effective distribution across the country. The group says during the month under review, 1.76 billion liters of petroleum motor spirit, PMS, translating to 58.65 million liters per day, were supplied and effectively distributed. In the gas subsector, the June report stated that 223.98 billion cubic feet of natural gas were produced in the month under review, translating to an average daily production of about 7.5 million standard cubic feet per day. The figure posted a slight increase of 0.11% compared with the previous month of gas production. Now, moving on, funding support to boost agricultural activities in Nasarawa State is getting more attention from the federal government under Nigerian Incentive Risk Sharing Agricultural Lending of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Details with Abubakar Usman Akwanga.
The initiative is anchored on 5 cardinal guidelines, including insurance, technical assistance, pillar, and rating towards improving productivity. Implementation of the program is driven by 90 billion naira support grant under the CBN for agricultural development in the country.
See the opportunities in Nasarawa State, match it with our TTMPs, tools, techniques, methodologies, and processes, and see how we can put them together and come up with a working and implementable document that will redefine agribusiness in the state.
Governor Abdullahi Sule explains that Nasarawa State is prioritizing agriculture as key area of its industrialization project and assures the bank of effective utilization of the funds. He appeals to genuine farmers and critical stakeholders to collaborate closely with the bank and obtain technical knowledge on achieving desired results.
The reason why we are in this is we want to keep our youth active. We want to keep them in business so that they can remain in business, so they have something to do, so they have income, so they have independent, and those are the kind of things I think they are going to teach you during this process. I want you to be devoted to it, committed to this the way we are, so that at the end of the day we benefit from it.
Governor Sule commends the federal government for development of agriculture and economic diversification. In Lafia, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And the presidency has explained and differentiated the roles of the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the role of the Chief of Staff and that of SGF has not changed from what they were doing under the first term of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. It stressed that the Chief of Staff's role is in line with the U.S. model, which Nigeria is practicing, and access to the President is open to ministers. Moving on, President Muhammadu Buhari, on behalf of the Federal Executive Council, congratulates the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, on his 63rd birthday anniversary. In a statement from the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the President applauds the Sultan's exemplary roles and contributions towards building peaceful, secure and prosperous country. The President values the timely counsel and support of the Royal Father to the administration's policies and programs, as commends the Sultan for championing, among other things, poverty reduction and education of the most vulnerable. President Muhammadu Buhari joins family members and the Sokoto Emirate, the government and the people of Sokoto State, as well as well-wishers, in praying that Almighty Allah grant the Sultan more years of good health and happiness to keep doing the things he loves most, building bridges of peace, tolerance and development across the country. In a step towards successfully implementation of the Executive Order No. 5, 50 former internally displaced persons from Borno State have completed a 6-month training in leather craftsmanship at the Nigerian Institute of Leather Science and Technology, thanks to funding by the European Union and technical support of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. Justin Bemui, report.
But now we are constructing the shoe and producing the shoe, any material that we using to shoe. Even the Italian shoe, whatever the shoe that we know, we have the knowledge to imparting the shoe and production the shoe now. Even I'm BSc graduate, but I don't have job in other federal parasite. I'm relying with the production of the shoe and maintaining my family and other colleagues in my family.
He is one of the IDP beneficiaries whose key responsibilities is not only to practice the new skills, but also to be a role model to other vulnerable youths who may follow in same footsteps. It took them 6 months intensive training on leather and leather products manufacturing, and now they have been certified as specialized artisans in leather works.
Can now make shoes, bags, belts, every product made of leather, and be self-reliant. Not even self-reliance, I can also be an employer to the employees. I can make my own shop, create employment to my fellow youths, and then promote entrepreneurship.
They have been encouraged to use the new skills to help build strong and resilient communities and contribute to sustainable development of Nigeria. And for the federal government, this training program is a boost to unlocking the enormous potentials existing in the leather sector for the benefit of the country.
So we are working from our slumber. We want to start developing our high skill, adding value to it before we now export. And luckily, we have brought out a leather and leather products policy, which will enable us to develop this product, add value to the high skin before we export.
Well, the next thing is for these graduates today to be established. And then the European Union and the UNDP, they promise to do that. Yes, and we'll continue to monitor them. And of course, UNDP has a mechanism also of monitoring to see that they comply with the conditions given to them for their establishment.
Experts say being a major productive sector next to the petroleum industry in terms of foreign exchange earnings, the leather sector is the nation's next gold mine and holds the key to industrial growth, economic diversification, jobs and wealth creation. In Abuja, Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
And to sports, Nigerians D Tigers claimed maiden peak invitational tournament title in China. Details with Kene Emabudike with a sport update.